Well, welcome to the Cinnabar. Now today we've got a couple of absolutely gorgeous, high condition, deluxe Winchester lever action rifles that are surprisingly affordable. And we're going to do some shooting today with them with the intent of maybe seeing if one or both of them shoots really well. We might use one of these for hunting season this year. See, I drew a tag this year and getting all ready for the hunt coming up here in October. So we need to find just the right rifle. And you might think, well, my goodness, those super highly collectible Winchesters might not be the best choice for hunting. But let's take a little closer look at them, see why these are pretty affordable rifles. Okay, so up front we've got a fantastic extra light takedown 1894 deluxe pistol grip, beautiful wood, probably a 2X. H-pattern checkering, 22-inch extra light barrel in 30-30, just a fantastic little rifle. Also fitted with a Lyman Tang sight, which is really helpful for those of us with older eyes. Now the back rifle, of course, is an 1895. This one is in 303 British letters with a 26-inch, so 2 inches shorter than standard barrel. Has the Model 21 receiver sight. Absolutely gorgeous wood, probably a 3X type of buttstock. Actually letters with a little extra drop and a little extra length as well. So both of them just loaded with special order features, and you can see what kind of condition they are in. Just fantastic. Now I know what you're probably thinking. These rifles have so many special features and such high condition and beautiful wood. Why would you consider taking them hunting? And you mentioned that they're surprisingly affordable. How is that? Well, the reason being that both of these guns have been refinished. And, you know, there's a difference between restored and refinished. What we do at Wyoming Armory is restoration, where we use original finishes, original polishing techniques, and all that. These guns are refinished. In other words, they're both caustic blued, and from this era, if we were to restore them to original, we'd use the original finishes, which would have been rust blued barrels and charcoal blued receivers and color case hardening on the parts that need to be color case hardened, and these aren't. But these are far better refinishes than what we normally run into. Now, we're constantly taking guns that are in just horrible condition or have been previously refinished, and most of them are done very poorly in that the polish is horrible underneath. They haven't polished out the pits. They've put them on the buffing wheel way too hard, and you know, even if the bluing over it is pretty nice, it's caustic blue and it's over problems with the polish. These actually, both of them were polished pretty well. So it would make these a really easy candidate for restoration, because we just take this caustic blue finish off and, you know, polish them out properly, but they're pretty close already, and then go back with original finishes. So these guns, if they were in this condition and original finish, would be probably $10,000 and maybe as high as $15,000. Whereas these were bought for a small fraction of that. And so you're not afraid to go out and see if one or both of these is a good shooter, take them out and hunt with them. And at some point in time, you know, may just, when we got a little break in the action at the shop, if that were ever to occur again, which doesn't look likely, you know, they could be restored back to original finishes and be just fantastic, high condition, with original finishes. They're never going to be original again, but that ship has sailed. Once the original finish is gone, like these, or even a really low condition abused gun, you know, that original finish is gone. And while there's this bias against restoring firearms, there is absolutely no logical reason other than deciding whether you want to spend the money and the cost it takes to restore a firearm that they can't be restored. And of course, as I say, these would be easy restorations, and the easier the restoration, the less the cost. So, you know, these could be restored back to original finishes for a fraction of what a rusty old pitted firearm that needs a new barrel and new wood would cost to restore. So spend a little more money on a gun like this if you're going to want to restore a gun, and you could have absolute beauty for a fraction of what a high condition original with all these features would cost. Now, I really intend to do a video at some point on how to identify guns that have been refinished, because the ones that are really well refinished, unless you do this all the time like we do, they sometimes can be hard to tell, and you can get taken paying big bucks for a gun that shouldn't have that kind of price tag on them if they've been refinished. And you can see here, you know, like this receiver is really shiny. There's just a little dishing around the screw holes, but not much. By the time we polish things out, those would go away. The vertical polish marks, they didn't take it far enough. We're probably at about a 600 grit here, and it needs to go to more of a mirror polish. A little bit of rounding here and there. The barrel, the rust blued barrels have kind of a matte finish, and this of course doesn't. This is a nickel steel barrel. I don't know if it shows up on the camera, but nickel steel, unless you have the caustic bluing salts at just the right temperature, they get a little bit of a kind of a maroon color to them. So that's a dead giveaway. This one, the wood's been refinished over the top of the original finish. They filled in the checkering with some either lacquer or shellac, but it looks like they left the original wood alone. It's really proud to the metal. Now this 95 here actually is a fantastic refinish, much better than what we normally see, but they didn't quite polish out all the pits here. The barrel has been polished in the wrong direction. It should be polished lengthwise at this time, and it was polished around. This one will be a super easy restoration for us. We'll go back and just finish the polish on the receiver and these other parts. We'll charcoal blue it, and then we do a little polish lengthwise just to get the polish going the right direction, and rust blue the barrel. The wood on this one is actually all original, so it's a kind of a time capsule type of a wood finish on this one, and the checkering is in fantastic condition. This gun has not been handled much. It's kind of surprising that it has a refinish on it. And of course, one of the telltale on this one is that the hammer is blued, and it certainly should be case colored at this time. This 94 actually does have a case colored hammer. Okay, so first up, we're going to take 3 shots with this beautiful old 1894 30-30, probably between it and the 30-06, shot more deer than anything else ever, except some parts of the world where the 22 might have that distinction. We've got some old Winchester Western ammo here. Just going to put 3 shots on paper, and just to make sure that we're kind of where we should be, that we're actually on paper. We're at 100 yards here. We're going to flip up this peep sight, because I just really like these old peep sights. Okay, check out that brass. This is the first time we've shot this old girl. We're not backing out primers. The brass looks good. Okay, number 2. Again, looking good. And I'm going to go ahead and put this one in through the loading gate just to make sure everything's feeding properly. Oh yeah, feeds like a dream. Okay, last time we'll go see how it's shooting. Alright, let's go down and see how we did. Okay, so you can see here, you know, we're a little high and right, but we're really more concerned with how it groups up. And I think the biggest spread here is just barely over an inch. I mean, that's a great group at 100 yards for an old lever gun. So, you know, we get this moved over here where the windage is correct, and we're a little high like that. I'm going to be plumb pleased. A couple inches high at 100 yards, because this wide open shooting out here, and rarely do we shoot anything less than 100 yards. Okay, now this beautiful 303 British Deluxe 1895. We've got some factory ammo from our good friends at Minuteman Ammo over in Sutherland, Oregon. Again, 150 grain, so it's a pretty good test, comparable to that 30-30 we shot. Of course, 303 British, a little better ballistically than 30-30 probably for mule deer, so I'm kind of leaning towards this gun if it shoots as well, but that 30-30 set the bar pretty high. Okay, this one I have shot before. I'm not going to worry too much about checking the brass. Besides, it flings it way back over my shoulder and it's a long ways back there. Okay, so we'll check the feed on this one as well. We'll put this one in the top of the magazine and it feeds right in. This is a great old rifle, really is. Okay, let's see how we did. Okay, so I'm really disappointed. See, we've got a shot here, here, and here, whereas that 30-30 94 was really right on the money. So, you know, I've shot this gun before with some different ammo, this 95, and it made a group very similar to this, and just right on for windage and a couple inches high right where I want it. So I may have to go back to the drawing board a little bit on ammo to get that 303 British shooting the way it ought to, and look up the other loads that I was using. But today the 94 really really shone. Okay, I have a real bias about this 303 British. It didn't shoot very well with those 150 grain. I've got some 215 grain, a little heavier bullet, different load, and I'm just going to put one on steel out there and see where it hits. And then we might even try for a couple of jugs out there beyond. Right underneath, and that's where it was shooting before. It was pretty low, so I'm gonna raise up this Model 21 sight just slightly, and let's see where it shoots now. There we go. Actually, it hit a little bit high there. So I'm going to lower this back down just a hair. Up too far. Okay, let's go ahead and try that 150 yard jug out there. That jug on that stump it's about the size of the vitals of a mule deer, so if we can hit that, we ought to be okay. Oh, I'd say so. Okay, let's try that. There's another jug out there at about 175 yards. Let's see if we can hit that old guy. Oh, I shot right over the top, and I did aim a little high because this has been shooting kind of low. So we'll aim right on this time and see. There I go. It didn't blow it up, but it knocked it right off of the stump. So I think I'm going to be set on this one. That 94 shot really well, but those little extra lightweight rifles, I've never been able to hold them very steady, particularly offhand. So I'm much more confident with a little heavier rifle, and I really think this 303 British is the right choice ballistically for a little longer shooting and a little better knockdown power, especially with this 215 grain. Now there's a real bias in the upper echelon of the gun collecting community against any kind of refinished or restored firearms. And that's kind of bled down to the everyday guys that hunt and shoot with these guns. There's just this notion that if the big boys don't like refinished guns, then we don't either. And I think a lot of folks haven't really thought that through and miss a golden opportunity to own some really exceptional firearms that otherwise they couldn't afford. You know, the big boys have a lot of disposable income, and it's more of an investment to them. They're not going to take these guns out like we did today and shoot them, and certainly not going to take them out hunting. And for those of us who enjoy that, these well done restorations and refinished firearms are affordable for the average working guy. And so we really have an opportunity there to own some pretty spectacular firearms that maybe not be the investment grade that some of those higher end ones are, but you don't have to feel like you're gambling with the family's fortunes by taking them out and shooting with them or hunting with them. So, you know, that attitude is changing quite a little bit, and Doug Turnbull had a lot to do with that while he was still in business, before he retired from Turnbull Manufacturing, and I have to give him credit for that. And a lot of the younger collectors are starting to look upon these firearms more favorably, and I think there's a lot of folks in my age group that, just because that's the way it's always been, believe that we wouldn't own one of those. But boy howdy, if you don't want to own a gun like this, then pass up on them all day long, because there's plenty of us out there that like to pay a reasonable price for guns that look and shoot like this, and we can actually take them out and shoot them and feel good about it. Now you might notice behind me the smoke is just thick here today, and we've been extremely fortunate, blessed, that as tinder dry as everything is here, we haven't had any fires in this area this summer. But our friends in the neighboring county to the east and to the north of us, they're just being devastated with these wildfires. And wife and I drove through the thunderstorm that got these all started when we were coming back from Cody, and it's just, keep those folks in your thoughts and prayers. Some of our dearest friends over in the Ventura area are working day and night with a couple hours of sleep a night and up on equipment and out fighting fire. They don't even know how many of their own cattle they've lost. They know that at least one of their neighbors lost their entire herd. It's just devastating. For those of you who are not familiar with these explosive western wildfires, you know, this burned in 2002. You know, I was on a dozer trying to build line around it, and the afternoon came with the winds, and just this thing took off. My lovely bride gathered all the cows off the hill here, got them down to the highway, and cut through the fence and out onto the lake bed, just barely ahead of the flames that would have engulfed and taken them all. You know, these western wildfires are so devastating and so dangerous. Hollywood has never done any kind of justice. As overly dramatic as most Hollywood movies are, I've never seen anything to compare to the power and the danger of these western wildfires. So keep these folks in your prayers, please. Well, thanks for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Until next time, happy trails from the Cinnabar. And here on the way out, we see a couple of these beautiful trumpeter swans that live here on the Cinnabar. If you look closely, you might be able to see there in the weeds, they've got hidden out a couple of their young, what are known as cygnets. It's very rare for these trumpeter swans in this area to raise any, and this pond and another one here on the ranch, as far as I know, is the only place that they've reproduced and raised cygnets up to adulthood. We're pretty fond of these old trumpeter swans here. And here they've got them out of the weeds. You can see the two adults on the left, and hopefully you can see the cygnets on the right. They're a little more difficult to pick up because of their color and size.